and welcome to Push Your Glasses Up. I am Mikey.
And I'm Rena, and I'm really sleepy.
Perfect.
I feel like you're really gonna take the lead on this one.
I'll do my best with that. I've been at the movies all week. I've been at post SDCC stuff all week, so we're good.
And I got
it covered.
I've been in that post-vacation work hustle. That's always so much fun.
Yeah.
So much fun. I love it. Yes, because I don't think we've talked since I came back from Tokyo.
Jurassic World. That was the last time we did an episode.
That was, because
I think we texted a little bit, but we haven't, talked to each other since then.
We do actually now talk to each other outside of the podcast. I'm glad that our friendship has withstood the technical difficulties we've experienced lately, and scheduling, and crises, and whatever.
Those things.
International adventures, and Woo!
Well, we can say the first time in a long time, neither of us was at Comic-Con this year.
No, we weren't, but you know what? I received a very lovely thank you card from Shannon, since her and her husband got to go, and they actually got a sitter for the little one, and so they had just a day to themselves to geek out, and they were really happy about that.
Nice. We'll have to get those things back to them, or from them that we sent them. So the collection can remain complete.
Yes.
But not a huge news year. So I'm actually not that worried about having taken the year off, because it seems to have been a good year to take off, what with no Marvel, no big Star Wars thing, no HBO, even to the point where Deadpool 2 had another panel. So yeah, it seemed like an okay year to take off, but there were still a bunch of trailers, mostly WB trailers. So we can run down a couple of those. We're going to disregard Fantastic Beasts. Because, man, the choices they continue to make. And probably a couple other things. We'll probably stick with the rest of WB, though, for the most part. So let's start with Shazam, and then we'll get into Aquaman.
Shazam!
Shazam!
Well, I was just saying, I'm like, I have no context for this, and I was like, where's The Rock? That's all I thought in the whole trailer. And I was like, hey, Zachary Levi, how are you? Nice to see you. It's been a while. And then I looked for The Rock, and then that's my summary of Shazam.
Yeah, I mean, The Rock's not in it, so he's the arch nemesis of Shazam, but he's not in this movie.
He's not Black Adam?
He's Black Adam, but Black Adam's not in this movie.
But then why was he cast
Mark Strong is playing the villain in this one.
But why did they say that The Rock was Black Adam?
Because he is Black Adam, but Black Adam's not in the movie yet. He's coming later.
Okay. I was just really confused. I was like, wait a second. I didn't just make that up, did I? Did I have like a fever dream that The Rock had entered the DC universe?
No, yeah. So he's going to be coming later. I think they wanted to, because originally he was cast for a Black Adam movie just because he was a big name. So they were going to push that first, but they came to their senses and said, no, we need to set up Shazam, like the rules of this superhero, before we go into the arch nemesis of said superhero who has the exact same power set.
Okay, is Shazam part of the Justice League at any point?
Yes.
Okay.
Particularly good in Young Justice as well. He kind of plays one of the babysitters for the younger heroes. But yeah, I was a little when they first cast Zachary Levi, I was like, yeah, I guess that makes sense, but also that dude's not, I don't see him being of a body type that can get jacked. Kind of like me, where it's impossible for my body type to get crazy muscular.
You could. You can do whatever. I mean, you could totally get jacked if you really wanted to, but you're gonna have to eat a lot more protein.
I'm gonna leave that one on the table.
I'm just saying.
Is more of a joke about the protein line.
Yeah.
But the
I don't know if there's that much protein in that. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway,
I was gonna say really horrible things.
Why
do you think I can lift my suitcase over my head?
It's a super soldier serum. But yeah, it's one of the things where once I saw him in the role, and like they clearly like padded the suit a lot to make it sort of like a kid's idea of what Superman looks like. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, I'm totally fine. I'm actually, as soon as I saw this trailer, I was full on like, I'm 100% in for this movie. Not many DC movies have had that reaction from me.
Yeah, because it doesn't look sad and depressing.
Well, it looks like Big.
It does look like Big. Oh my god!
But as a superhero movie,
please say that they find some sort of like floor keyboard.
Yeah, they'll go to New York City when DC is always in a fictional city. They'll go to New York City and go to the same store. But yeah, I appreciated everything about this trailer. It's lighthearted. It still seems like it's gonna have, some stereotypically superhero moments of heart. The ties to the DC universe are clearly there. In his foster brother's room is like a Batarang and a newspaper clippings, a Time magazine with like the giant terraforming thing from Man of Steel. So it's like there's obvious ties to the DC universe. It's a little bit weird to think about what that means in the universe, though. Mm-hmm. That they sell these like collectibles of these superheroes, but clearly those superheroes cannot get the money that they would earn off of those things, because that would reveal their identity. So someone's just profiting off of these superheroes. But yeah, I'm other than the moment when Zachary Levi is flossing, I'm all in for this movie.
I'll probably see it too, because okay.
I mean, it doesn't seem like it's gonna be dire.
And eventually, The Rock will be in it, but not this time. But eventually, but not right now. But someday,
probably the next one.
The next one, yay!
Like I could see him showing up in the post-credits tease in this movie, but not like he's not in the movie. It's in
the movie. That's all. That just made me think of that.
Signed, done. It's in the movie. So following that up is Aquaman.
Yes.
Which I saw the trailer for the first time on the big screen twice this week, actually, because I saw it in front of Teen Titans and I saw it in front of Mission Impossible. I'm really excited about this movie now, even though I wasn't at all before this.
Well, they went straight with the Arthur talks to fish, and then the shark's like, "What, bro?" And it's like that like was the most adorable little moment when all the fish in the aquarium are like, "We got you."
Well, then on top of that, just the fact that like the color schemes, the tone of the movie, like they're in on the joke that it's kind of ridiculous, and it's less like a superhero movie than it is like a fantasy movie, like a fantasy war movie. Mm-hmm.
And Mara's just like over his bullshit, like in every scene,
except for when she's like, "But hey, I got a boner for you."
Well, I don't know. It could be Slim Pickens down there.
Swim Pickens.
Oh my god, by the way, I have been watching so much Shark Week, and I am so surprised that there wasn't an Aquaman Shark Week crossover, because
it's because the tie-in was for the Meg.
That's true, but like, why can't they also do something with Aquaman?
Because that's multiple studios, and you only make a contract with one studio.
Okay, fine. Well, there's a movie I am gonna see for sure. Is The Meg.
Oh yeah.
Oh, 100%. I've been
Yeah.
like, by the way, I was almost gonna like postpone this podcast because I really want to watch Naked and Afraid of Sharks, but they have an encore presentation at 11, so I'm definitely gonna watch that.
See, you don't want to be naked with sharks because the dangling is probably
Yeah, well, you know what? This crew of people is gonna have to learn how to survive with the dangles in the water.
human lures.
Yep. Just a little dingo dango. little dingaling.
But with Aquaman, I'm actually, and if anyone's listened to this podcast before, knows I'm not like a super fan of 3D. I want to see this movie in 3D. Because it just visually, the way that they have things lit looks like it's going to be super cool, and it's basically a superhero Lisa Frank folder.
How many times
3D.
do you think he
Perfect.
calls someone brother? Hey, brother.
At least 74.
He's the only
but
man
yeah.
that can swim comfortably in leather pants.
They're jeans. He specifically came out and said they're jeans.
He's the only man who could comfortably swim in jeans that are thought to be leather pants.
Oh, wet denim.
Yeah, it's so comfortable. Maybe
Yeah.
that's another superpower. He doesn't chafe.
I don't know. Salt water.
I don't know, but he can do it because he's Aquaman and he has powers.
Yeah, but his jeans aren't.
His aqua legs prevent it from happening.
Clearly, his dry land pants are not of the world that he is now part of. Yeah, I was even underwhelmed in Justice League with, like, because they had moments where it's like, oh, that might be a cool development. Oh, it's only because he's sitting on the lasso of truth. Okay, that sucks. I was actually let down going into Aquaman because of Justice League, which isn't that surprising. But it's the one character I was sort of like, other than Wonder Woman, that I was like, all right, cool, I'm kind of interested in this.
Well, I think the character design is awesome. And I think, like, basically they're kind of setting him up to be the Thor of the Justice League. And now we have a malicious half-brother trying to steal the throne. It's very similar. And we have an attractive and very intelligent lady friend guiding said lost hero back to, like, his destiny.
Did you hear about the second version of the trailer that they showed in Hall H but did not release?
No.
He's in the orange and green suit at the end of that one.
Oh, I heard about that.
So
I didn't know it was in the trailer.
And he has an actual trident instead of a quindent in that. So I'm guessing, because it looks like in the trailer Orn has an actual trident, I'm guessing once they go through this thing, he takes that trident as his own. As he's wearing his kingly armor, his kingly orange and green.
Yes.
Yeah,
Because nothing says royalty like looking like a pumpkin.
an upside down pumpkin.
Mm-hmm.
So WB, that's how they closed it. But to continue on WB, how about that Godzilla trailer?
Oh my god. I'm so excited for that. This sounds like I'm saying this sarcastically, but I'm just tired. But I really am. Because Gojira is my jam. Every time I'm in Tokyo, I always make sure to say hi to the Godzilla that's on top of the hotel in Shinjuku that overlooks the city. I just watched a whole thing about the historical and metaphorical significance of Godzilla across 3 key films. The original one, the one I think that came out in 2014, that Godzilla, and then Shin
The
Godzilla.
Gareth Edwards one.
And then Shin Godzilla.
which I still haven't actually seen.
I haven't, and then I watched this whole thing, and it looks fucking amazing. And I'm like, why haven't I seen this? And now we have Godzilla King of Monsters, and it looks awesome. I don't know how they're gonna go with, hey, let's wake up all these giant things to save the world, but we'll see.
I think it's hey, let's scorch the earth and start over kind of thing. It seems as if Millie Bobby Brown and Vera Farmiga, mother-daughter, and Vera Farmiga is of the mindset that, like, we need to start over, and then it's a sort of at what cost
I
argument.
guess that there are 3 key themes that have been explored through the Godzilla movies. Now, one, obviously, is that he's a direct stand-in for nuclear war, which we know we want to avoid at all costs, right, and the incredible destruction that can bring. But with the reboot of Godzilla in 2014, he was more...
Sort of took that away.
Well, he became also a stand-in for forces beyond our control in terms of natural disasters, which is another major fucking thing that happens in Japan. So let me see. They have volcanoes.
It was definitely
have
more about.
They have earthquakes. They have tsunamis. They have a crippling heat wave. I was in the middle of, where people were literally
and on
dying.
top of that, and that's the thing is, on top of that, not even as far as just natural disasters, the point of climate change was pretty much the general stand-in, which then causes all the natural disasters. But yeah.
And a feeling of, like, what can you really do, right? You can prepare as much as you can, but ultimately, when the Earth is mad at you, that's it, you know? Like, some of them you can see coming, but it doesn't stop the devastation.
Yeah.
Like, a tsunami's on the way, but, like, what is that?
You don't get much time to know.
You don't get much time, right? You know a hurricane is coming, or a typhoon is coming, but, like, still, nonetheless, causes all this destruction. So that was one of the key elements. And then the third one that they used was a sort of a combination of the two, and not just natural disasters, but like the embodiment of a god and a deity on Earth.
Isn't it kind of weird that every major water park is named after like a disaster?
Like Typhoon Lagoon, is that what you're thinking of?
Typhoon Lagoon, like Hurricane Harbor, Volcano Bay.
Right?
None of those things sound like appealing things.
No, where's Sinkhole City?
A nice, refreshing typhoon.
Right? I've been in a typhoon. It is rough, man. And I wasn't even in the worst of it. Again, in Japan. I've experienced a lot of weather in Japan over my vacations. So,
there is a theory that I saw that I don't know how much I believe, but we get our first glimpse of like other monsters in this universe, and one of them is Mothra. And there's a theory because Millie Bobby Brown's character sort of does the like touch the face thing with the giant creature, that she is one of Mothra's fairies, which are from the original appearances of Mothra. I don't know how much I believe that. It's interesting if they want to go that route, to bring in some of that weirdness. I guess as a stand-in, instead of actually being one of the fairies, they could just say that Mothra is telepathic and has like attached itself to her. Granted, they're twin fairies, so there should be two if they're going to do that. Maybe one of them is Vera Farmiga's character, and instead of twins, it's a mother and daughter, and one of them misunderstands and one of them understands. But it's an interesting theory. I don't know if they're going to go that Tojo with it, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, it would be cool if they just had them as characters, right? Like, maybe it's not her, but they have them in the movie, and they do that as twins.
it would be cool. I think a lot of people would be very confused and would not be. It would not be their favorite part of the movie. I'll put it that way, because it's just it's a very weird thing to throw into this franchise where it is at this point, I think.
Yeah, I think this is probably going to go more of the... Well, I don't know. Do you think it's going to go... I think it's going to be a 50-50 split between the deity, like, stand-in and the natural disasters thing, which go hand in hand.
Yeah, I think that'll be a decent split. That's where I say, like... I don't think the fairies thing is going to come into it just because that's so far, like, compared to just like, oh, giant creatures that represent bad things happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, that's sort of bonkers for like the common moviegoer, I think.
Although I will also recommend, though, that people go back and watch at least the original. There's a lot of symbolism in that film, dealing with the aftermath of the bombs being dropped on Hiroshima.
Watch the Japanese version.
The Japanese version, that's what I mean.
Yeah, because the Americanized version of it is super not the same.
And then
they added a white guy.
Of course they did. But I think I tweeted it the other day, and I can tweet it from our account. Film School Rejects did the breakdown, and that's what I'm referring to. They did a video essay.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, this is so interesting. And, like, yeah, Godzilla is definitely, it's not a joke. He is definitely an icon, like, in Japan.
Well, that's why there was so much rejection of the 98 one.
Mm-hmm.
Because it just completely got it wrong with, like, I have a place in my heart for that movie just because it came out at a certain age, and it's like, this is such a good example of like a bad movie that's enjoyable. But to the point where I want to say, was it in Destroy All Monsters or Godzilla 2000? I think it was Destroy All Monsters. That Godzilla enters like a battle and is killed within 10 seconds. That's how far they go out of their way to be like, nope, that's not Godzilla. I forget exactly what they do call that version of Godzilla over there. Whatever. It's something Godzilla, but not just Godzilla. So what else? Oh, it's very short, but we can talk about Doctor Who. It was only like 40 seconds long.
Yes.
But I'll let you go ahead on that one.
Because I'm a lady? Is that why?
No, because I'm leading this whole episode.
And
so I'm letting you have one.
I contributed to the Godzilla discussion quite significantly, I feel like.
You did. I just feel like I'm in hog mode of voice time.
Well, I'm very excited for Jodie to take the helm as the 13th Doctor. I'm even right down to the design of her sonic screwdriver. That with a friggin' crystal, the thing looks like a magic wand. I am all in on that.
Yeah, it definitely. I like the fact that it like illuminates in the handle. It looks like a combination of rock and wood, kind of. Mm-hmm. Like, it looks grained like wood, but it looks like a rock material.
I'm excited to see, like, this is not, like, meant to sound sexist, but, like, a softer side of the Doctor, because we haven't for a while, because I feel like the last Doctor was a little more rough, and even...
He's a curmudgeon.
Yeah, but even towards the end of Matt Smith's, time as the Doctor, he was a little like rough around the edges by that point. I kind of miss like early Tennant, sort of. Feel like we're getting back to that.
Yeah.
Which is actually funny they mention it since they were both on Broadchurch together. But
did you finish the run for the 12th Doctor?
No.
Neither did I, and I don't think I may go back and watch like the last 4 episodes. Mm-hmm. but I literally watched the first 3 episodes of this run and nothing else.
I felt like he was so mean to Clara, and I was just over it. You know?
It was just too much Moffat.
Yeah,
for me. Moffat's heart wasn't in it anymore.
It wasn't, and it wasn't the same. Like, I remember the transition from 9 to 10, and like Rose grappling with like, who is this? Like, is this the same man?
Yeah.
Like, I have to learn this all over again. Like, I understood that was like a better. It didn't have that feel with Clara. He was just like, it's like instantly mean to her. And
fuck you.
Yeah,
it was just a bunch of that.
And it was like, do you know that she like basically like saved the doctor and she's like mega important and you like wouldn't fucking be here. So I don't know. It's just the curmudgeon thing. Like maybe
it's fine to be a curmudgeon. Maybe not as much of one.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. I'm glad that there is a female doctor and not just for like, you know, breaking that glass TARDIS ceiling and whatnot, but
what that means for what the character can become,
right? And she can make good decisions, and she can make bad decisions, and she can be complex. Like I'm thinking more like a Starbuck in the reboot of Battlestar Galactica, like you know, fundamentally flawed, but also a badass.
I like the fact that the little bit that we got of that trailer, like, because even in only 40 seconds, I'd say she only got about 10 because it appears there's going to be about 4 companions. She seems optimistic and gung-ho for adventure again, which we haven't had since Matt Smith. So I'm excited for that aspect of the character to come back as well.
Yeah, everything is so dark and doom and gloom, like, in the world right now. We need to, like, think of the Doctor as, like, gallivanting around space and time and having adventures.
Yeah, and I guess the word is that for the first season, they aren't going to have an overarching story. It's just going to be Adventure of the Week.
Oh, nice.
Which, yeah, I'm super keen on. It'll be a nice introduction to get to know the character, and then you can get somewhere with an overarching story.
Or what you do is
you don't need it right away.
You do the Monster of the Week kind of deal, or Adventure of the Week, and then you get towards the end, and then maybe you do like the 2 or 3
something up.
The 2 or 3 episodes, or the 2-parter that like go into like a setup.
Right, and they also confirm that there is a Christmas special.
Yes.
So that'll, even if they start to like show some ties to an overarching thing, that'll probably, like most of them, will just be its own thing.
I gotta be real here. She was like, what is her name? Jodie Whittaker?
Yeah.
She was like the queen of Comic-Con this year. I saw her everywhere.
The Her Universe thing.
Her Universe, she was like...
Just on the floor?
Yep. She was just everywhere.
When's the last time someone who was cast as the Doctor just walked the floor?
Right?
Like, absolutely bonkers to think about.
But people already started cosplaying her Doctor as soon as that first photo came out.
Oh, yeah, the one where she's, like, in the woods, kinda.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I think this is exactly what this franchise needs to keep it going.
Well, and not even just keep it going, it feels like a rejuvenation.
Mm-hmm. Shouldn't it, though? Like, literally?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But yeah, that... It wasn't my favorite trailer of the convention just because it's so minimal.
Mm-hmm.
It literally is just like, all right, here's 40 seconds of kind of what the tone is going to be, which is fine. It just didn't like blow me away. My top 2 trailers were Shazam and Godzilla, hands down.
Oh yeah, my top 2 were Godzilla and Aquaman. But here's one thing about Doctor Who, and I want to throw this out there, and I hope I'm putting it out into the universe. But because he's always on the short list for the new Doctor, but never the new Doctor, find a way to work Noel Fielding into this episode. Into this series. Make him a companion for a period of time, a character, something.
Make old Greg canon.
Old Greg, or I don't even bring back fucking Richmond.
Oh,
An ill wind is blowing.
Jesus.
But that's like, he needs to be somewhere in this series. Somewhere. He's always on, every time they go to have a new doctor, he like is always somehow.
He's always one of the ones.
He's always one of the ones. And I feel like, okay, if you're not gonna make him the doctor, you gotta get him in there somewhere.
Make him the overarching villain in the next season.
That would be so good.
Where he's just like playing it like Bowie in Labyrinth.
Yes. Oh
like,
my god, make him like the Goblin King, but like of space.
Gareth of space.
Yes. I want this to be real. So
yeah.
I'm sending it out there. I'm sending out these Whovian vibes.
That's an album name right there.
Whovian vibes.
These Whovian vibes.
Like sitting in my bed waving my arms around. I can see my like witchy altar in front of me, just sending it out. Where are my crystals?
Crystal Dicks?
Our band.
The Crystal Dicks, these Whovian vibes.
I feel like we need to start to put together at least an EP.
No. I gotta get better at MIDI work.
I need you to make me some boops and beeps to sing over, please.
I thought you said boobs at first.
No, I get those. I get that.
I was like,
I 100% have that under control.
I think that's your department.
I need boops and beeps, man.
All right. So let's get off of Comic-Con.
Let's get off of boops and beeps.
And boobs and beeps.
Boobs and beeps.
You and I have not talked about a Marvel movie in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's ever happened since we first started this show. So we were off for quite some time. In the meantime, Ant-Man and the Wasp came out, so we didn't get to talk about it. So let's take a few minutes and go back into that microverse.
You're making me try to remember something that happened before I went to Japan, so good luck with that.
Okay, well, to start off, I appreciated that it was almost entirely separated and its own thing from Infinity War, until the obvious post-credits scene.
Mm-hmm.
It felt good to just have a movie in this world that it was just about people. It was just about a handful of people and trying to get back to family.
It was about a handful of people and some dog-like ants.
And some rocking on the electro drums ants. But
do you kind of want a pet ant now? Did it bring back total Honey, I Shrunk the Kids vibes for you?
No, not the first movie did. This one didn't bring as much this time.
I think it was the giant ants that did it for me.
Well, the first time around it did, when like at the end of the movie, the first movie, they're like, Cassie feeds the dog under the table, but it's an ant. So it was like moments like that did. This time around, I'm already like in this world, so it reminded me of the first movie as opposed to Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. But yeah, it was a nice showing of, for the most part, the last movie had a little bit of heart. It was mostly just kind of fun and funny. This one was fun and funny, but had so much humanizing to the characters that, like, a lot of the, as much as the modern Marvel movies have, we sort of lost the individual heart of things over the, like, overarching heart of things, because everything has become about the big story with Marvel. Even in solo movies like Black Panther and stuff, it's bigger than the one character. And seeing Hank actually have that drive to go and get Janet was something that, like, they tried to say was there in the first movie, but actually being front and center of this movie was my favorite part of probably any character trait, except for Scott's ex-wife's husband, who would just hug Scott all the time in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, I love how he said nothing but just gave big hugs, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, I like it's the gags in it were just as fun as the first one, just kind of like with upping the ante. Ghost was rad. I'm glad they actually had a villain again that wasn't just like, I'm evil.
I'm going to take over the world because I have decided it is my destiny and I shall do it.
Yeah, and like having...
Honestly, like, her personal quest really didn't impact anybody else but them and what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
Because say she just stole all the equipment to, like, try and fix herself, and, like, they were just like, shit, we just lost everything, I guess we're gonna have to start over. Like, it literally would have no impact on the outside world.
Yeah, and it was misguided, like, ways of going out and trying to fix something, as opposed to, like, if you just sit down with us, we can maybe help you work this out, and we can maybe solve the problem too.
I mean, I took it as when someone's in immense pain like that, they're not exactly exactly thinking clearly. And if she had been dealing with that, plus the expiration date she basically had before she disappeared entirely, I can get why her decisions, despite her intelligence, were not always the most rational, because she's in panic mode.
And that was, I think it was a good decision having, like, to change up the origin of Bill Foster Goliath.
Mm-hmm. That was a funny
character.
Scene. That was how big did you
size. Get? Yeah. I appreciated what they did with him and making him her foster father, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And giving her guidance and going specifically out of the way to be like, no, we're not going to do what we did in the last movie. We're not just going to, like, hey, fuck you, we're going to kill the kid. That's a line that he said, we will not cross, we are not going that route.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciated that they were like, no, we need to find something more interesting, and more immediate than just use a family member as a ploy, because that's sort of been well overdone at this point.
That actually brings me up to another point as I'm, like, trying to run through the movie in my head, and what I saw was that, one, this is the first movie with a female superhero, like, in top billing.
In the title. For Marvel.
For Marvel. And two, I felt like, even though obviously Scott is, like, the main character, the way that they went about him being the hero had so many feminine elements, because the whole reason they can even find Janet is because he is connected to her and, like, channeling. When he, like...
That scene was amazing.
That was, like, so... Because, it's like, oh, the dude comes in and saves the day, right? But, like, it was done in a way where it's like, it wasn't even him, it was her.
Yeah.
It was basically, mother and daughter, like, figuring this shit out.
And then he just wakes up and he's holding Hank's hand.
Yeah, oh my god, it was so funny. It was so good, though. He was so... And then when we meet her, we're like, oh my god, that was, like, perfect.
Yeah. I appreciated the cleverness of those kinds of scenes in this movie a lot. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure I ranked it higher than the first Ant-Man in my ranking.
I would rank it higher for sure. The other thing too is they showcase Scott as, like, great balanced dad, which I don't think we see enough of. Like, superhero, tough talk kind of dad for sure, but, like, just hanging out with your daughter sometimes, building a massive obstacle course, like, because he's on house arrest.
Well, that's the thing, is he made it clear, like, this is important to me. I need to be able to get back to this.
But, like, he was just normal, dorky, fun dad, for the most part.
I ranked Ant-Man and the Wasp Number 7. Above Iron Man.
I would agree with that. It's nice to like have a movie that's not like chock full of toxic masculinity. That's what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah, and not that like the Marvel movies necessarily do, but like this is so far in the other direction of a better version of masculinity, where it's to the point where it's like there was a shirtless Scott scene.
Yeah, but that's because Paul Rudd
wasn't
worked
like
out really hard, and I think that's fair. Like,
well, no, that's pretty much in the contract. Is they have one scene where they have to like. Chris Hemsworth didn't want to do a shirtless scene in Thor Ragnarok. He was like, I don't want to do this anymore. They still did it, but
like,
he didn't want to.
Listen, do you still have abs? Well, yeah. Well, then too bad. First of all, I think these people are so used to having abs, they don't know what it's like to be a normal human being. And when you like sort of first get like just the 2 lines, just the 2 on the side, you're just like, I never want to wear clothes again. Look at me, I'm awesome. Or am I just speaking for myself?
I think in this movie it was when he was just like in the tub. Mm-hmm. So you basically only saw him from like sternum up. You didn't actually even see the abs.
No way, I think there was another, he was like changing. I swear there was like another scene.
I don't remember. This is where it's been a month and I don't remember.
These are the things that I remember.
It's been a month and you remember.
Let me fill you in on any shirtless dudes that happen to be in the movie. Yeah, they had like a quick shirtless scene if I recall. Or maybe I just made that up. Or Paul Rudd just stopped aging like a million years ago and he looks the same as he did in Clueless. Anyway.
He looks younger now than he did in the Super Nintendo commercial before Clueless.
Right? Right? What is his secret?
Yep.
Is it just being awesome? What is it?
Probably.
Ritual human sacrifice. I knew it.
Yeah. All right. I'll just touch on the 2 other more current movies that I saw this week that you have not seen. Starting with Teen Titans Go, which leading into it, I have been super, super excited about. It's good. Not great. It's definitely fun and has a lot of like Easter eggs and shit like that. That's super fun. But there's weird, like, it's short, but could be shorter.
I know what we missed. Titans.
Oh, yeah.
Actual Titans. And Robin. Fuck Batman. And I was just
and then he breaks someone's neck.
And I'm like, because like my impression of Titans is Teen Titans Go.
Right.
And so I'm very confused right now.
Is a version of the Teen Titans that a lot of Teen Titans fans also don't like. But
so they just like Teen Titans, period? That's the default? That's the one?
Well, yeah, Teen Titans is the group.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't there a different animated one, though, before Teen Titans Go?
There was. It had the same cast as Teen Titans Go. That's why a lot of people have been mad at this cartoon, because the original Teen Titans cartoon from a couple years before Teen Titans Go was a little bit more in line with, like, the stuff that we know of DC animation. It was a little closer to that. Mm-hmm. It wasn't that universe, but it was closer to that. Little more like American anime style instead of like American chibi style. Mm-hmm. It was great. This is also great for a different reason, but people can't accept that it's a good thing for a different reason. It's just either one of them's good and one of them's bad or nothing. Mm-hmm. But so this movie was good, not great. I want to say it's about 97 minutes long. I think the last time I looked, it probably could have been 15 minutes shorter. There were moments when it kind of dragged a little bit, because the show is usually 15 minutes long.
Yeah.
So it's very tight. Its jokes are very like hit, action moment, joke. So it loses some of that feel because it gets stretched out. Like it tries to give moments of drama, but the show's not exactly known for drama, so those kind of missed a little bit. Stan Lee has a cameo to the point where he points out that he's in a DC movie and gets nervous. But yeah, it's a very fun movie. It's just a little bit off in pacing. The animation is beautiful. It's great having Nicolas Cage be Superman finally. The jokes about Green Lantern are in there. There's a ton of stuff in there that's really good. There's references to the show itself. And the thing that I find funny about people like yelling and screaming about Teen Titans Go, particularly Teen Titans Go to the movies, is they're just saying, but why can't it be Teen Titans from before? Why can't it be that? There's a fucking post-credit scene that they're not even aware of that says they're pretty much bringing back that show. And they're yelling and screaming, and they're not even aware that they've pretty much announced that they're going to make that show again.
That sounds about right. That sounds about like the internet today.
Yep. Not even aware of the thing you want coming back. But yeah, I think it's better than just an air conditioning movie. And by that I mean just like, it's a hot day, what is there to do? We can go to the movies, they have air conditioning. It's better than that, but only a little bit better than that. And it's pretty short, so you're in and out of there pretty quick. But Mission Impossible Fallout was fucking fantastic, and it is the best Mission Impossible movie so far.
Cool.
And I know you haven't seen any of them.
Nope. No thanks.
Yeah. I don't know why you say no thanks, though.
Because I'm not a big Tom Cruise fan.
But see, that doesn't really matter here, because he's literally just the body in place of the stunts. That's all that he is in this.
Yeah, I don't know. I just figure there's like so much anime to watch that I have to get through first before I take on things like the Fast and the Furious franchise or Mission Impossible.
But see, that is a cartoon too. See, I actually was doing a write-up before we started recording, and I think those two franchises are the most reliable as far as like always fulfilling what they go out to do and doing it in a quality where you're like, all right, that was enjoyable. I can't really complain about anything in it, except Mission Impossible is more of like what I consider like something that would interest like your dad kind of thing.
Which
whereas
dad?
Fast and the Furious, no, just the royal your dad.
The royal your dad?
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
I'm like, I have two very different dads.
Right. Whereas fantastic. Fast and the Furious
Fantastic
is more
cars
of
and where
like,
to drive them.
Yeah. Is more of like appeasing the 13-year-old within you, kind of. So
I appease the 13-year-old with me on a daily basis. I mean, I'm staring at a Pikachu right now. And a port.
Right.
And, like, several other Ghibli artifacts next to, like, my video game system in my adult room. So, I think...
Right.
Yeah.
That's fine and good.
I think I have that covered.
I'm just saying that these two things, while for different audiences, are the most American, like, reliability at the box office that isn't like Marvel.
Also, 13-year-old me was like writing poetry and...
Again, the royal you keep taking this as you. I'm saying the...
I feel like you're low-key trying to convince me to watch these movies, and I'm just like...
I'm never gonna go out of my way to convince anybody to do anything. Like, I make my points, and if you're down with that, you're down with that. If you're not, I don't fucking care. I'm not gonna have a fight. There's somebody else. Somebody else online.
This what this is?
No. Somebody else online was like, I just don't like Tom Cruise. And I'm like, I don't care.
What do you mean? I just said that.
No, somebody said that earlier, trying to start a fight and trying to get me to make points of like, well, prove to me why I have to watch it. I'm like, I'm not going to do that.
Why would I waste my time doing that when you don't want to watch it? So okay, don't.
Yeah.
don't watch it.
I'll make my
Woo.
points of why I enjoy it, but I'm not going to be like, here's why you have to watch it. No, it's just why
Actually,
I like it.
I lied. I do like Tom Cruise in certain things, more in the sci-fi fantasy realm. So,
like Legend.
Like Interview with a Vampire, for sure. And
have you seen the
Edge
Steven
of
Spielberg
Tomorrow.
War of the Worlds?
Yes.
See, that and Edge of Tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I disregard the Mission Impossible franchise, and Magnolia, which is probably his best performance,
Ooh, yeah.
like actual performance.
Mm-hmm.
War of the Worlds and Edge of Tomorrow are my two favorite, like, not part of his biggest franchise and not necessarily his, like, most emotional performance.
Mm-hmm.
Those are like, you gotta watch those.
I don't know. Tropic Thunder was definitely a peak Tom Cruise performance.
But that's also, I don't think he's technically even in the credits on it. I think they went so far with, like, hiding that it's him that he's not even in the credit. I think it says, like, the name of his character as himself.
And also, Days of Thunder. Because my dad,
Really?
Because my dad,
Oh, okay.
my stepdad
An outside reason.
loves NASCAR, and
Ew.
so yes.
He's all about those
like
left
her?
turns.
Like, I don't care for Tom Cruise, but let me name 60 films he's
6
done
movies.
that I
Well,
enjoy.
And that's my thing, is, like, he's such, like, a perfect saccharine kind of on-screen personality, like, disregarding his personal life, because he's fucking batshit, and in a cult. But
He jumped
when he's
over
on
his couch. Who
screen,
does that?
yeah, when he's on screen, I think it's just like, oh, whatever, that's a blank canvas kind of guy, like, whatever. Because for the most part, his performances are, okay, I'm gonna jump off this cliff, or okay, I'm gonna jump out of this plane, or, you know, shit like that, where it's like, yeah, you could literally put anybody in there and it would probably be just as good.
Mm-hmm.
But it happens to be that he has a lineage of a billion of those movies, that he's sort of irreplaceable in that, and he's sort of the last of the old guard for, like, that era of Hollywood, where weirdly he, even though I said those things about him where it's like he's sort of just a blank face up there, he is one of the last people that can sort of sell a movie by saying it's a Tom Cruise movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's this weird juxtaposition in it that, like, it's hard to explain, but I have a definite feeling about that, where it's like, it does, his personal life, nobody, like, everyone talks shit about him, but then nobody cares, because, like, I'm just gonna go see the movie. Like, this movie's gonna be weird and crazy, and the stunts are gonna be insane. Whatever. But this movie actually does, like, this is the first proper sequel to any other Mission Impossible movie. They've never done, like, a direct sequel to the last movie. They've always been sort of, like, interstitial, and, like, the first one is so of its time in the 90s, and then the second one is so of its time in the early 2000s with the fucking, like, Limp Bizkit theme song and shit. But once it hits 3, they sort of, it feels like a new franchise once it hits 3.
Is that when they added Simon Pegg? Is that why?
Yes. Yeah, that's when J.J. Abrams directed that one. And that's why Kerry Russell's in the beginning of it. But it's like, that feels like a new number 1. And then from there, they have number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. And this would be the new number 4, even though it's movie 6. So this is a direct sequel to the last movie and has some ties to the 2 movies before that. And, like, pretty much forgets about 1 and 2. So if you take those 4 movies, they've pretty much just in escalation gotten, like, bigger and bigger and bigger. And this one, it has its one big stunt piece, but it doesn't seem as big. He did the Halo jump out of the plane where the camera's actually like in his face as he's jumping out of the plane and stuff. And it's super rad, but it doesn't play as like when he's attached to the side of the plane in the last movie taking off, and he's not climbing the building in Dubai like the movie before that one. Mm-hmm. It plays on the same level as the rest of the stunts, where a lot of what people remember about Mission Impossible is like, oh, that's the one with that stunt, or that's the one with that stunt. This one actually has a good story to it that follows up the last movie, and the stunts don't overshadow it as much.
Wait a second. Is Tom Cruise hanging off a cliff? Is that a Mission Impossible 1 too?
That is the famous thing from Mission Impossible 2.
Okay. Well, you said there's like a famous stunt, and I was like, I think.
Every single one of these movies has one of those.
And then I know
and Mission Impossible 2 is when he started like taking more control of them and doing more of the stunts in real life. Mm-hmm. Whereas like in the first movie, he has one where he like jumps from a helicopter and lands on top of a train as it's going into a tunnel. But that's like obviously not a real stunt, as the helicopter is like exploding as he jumps off of it. Whereas from then on, he's had like jumping roof to roof, or there's another rock climbing one in this movie that does it better than the first movie. And there's a motorcycle chase in this movie that does it better than a previous entry did the same movie with the rock climbing. And so basically, like, from Mission Impossible 3 had one, but it wasn't as impressive. It's when he's running along the bridge, which I think is in the Florida Keys. You know, that like crazy long bridge that you have to drive through to get like from island to island. There's jets that come and shoot missiles down, and they hit behind him, and it throws him like crazy. And it's a real stunt. Like, it's one of the things where it's like a wire pull, so he's running straight forward, and a wire pulls him to the side into the side of a car. But it's not like, because it's a big explosion one, and not just him like doing something crazy like jumping out of a plane or climbing the side of the building, it's not as memorable as the other stunts. But with this movie, it took that stunt aspect, but also tied in the threads from the other movies, like stuff to do with his wife in the third movie, and stuff to do with a character. Like, this is literally, like, it involves the villain from the last movie. Sort of the way that, like, Casino Royale jumps right into Quantum of Solace for James Bond. It pretty much does that, just not, like, it doesn't have no time in between them, where those movies literally, like, the end of Casino Royale is the beginning of Quantum of Solace. This is a continuation of, like, I think they say 2 years later. But yeah, it's the first time that actually a story is continuing on from the last one, and they did a remarkable job with it, and I think that's the selling point of why this is better than any of the other ones, because it actually takes things we've already known and expands upon them, instead of just being like, here's another episode of the show. Here's another episode of the show. Henry Cavill's mustache was important, and it needed to be in this movie, so Justice League had to suffer, and I am totally fine with it.
And it was quite a full mustache, so I understand the complexity of editing it out now.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. I think we covered pretty much everything since we've been here the last time. So
yep.
So we can call that an ep. But we will promise be back sooner than
Boston
we were
Comic-Con.
This time.
I think it's the next episode.
Oh yeah.
That
would make sense.
Oh yeah. I think I'm gonna go see Akira that night at midnight too.
I am going to a friend's wedding right afterwards, so
yes, I know.
I'm gonna be sleepy.
Fun times. Let's not talk about people who are sleepy.
Yeah. So we will be back for that. Otherwise, it's been real, and we'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.